Ebusana penso so yama wache ama wo akwaba wo hwen ewo Adom TV sanso na wote enka asempa 94.7 FM na wotwe dwumadie na anapenso so yesu nkonya yede bro trust me anapay the show is going to be really hot meeting at the CJ Forcing yakasai akabe busumi nsia na yakotoaba enso so afiansa na easy or the timetable ye begina so atwere din foforo the new voter register or the eba betudwa ne enima ne say ending of June and ye betwere sa edin date porting ye de betwere din no say ye ka say ye nim BVDs biometric verification devices easy ni che say ye de ba be di sa adwuman dodo a ye ka say easy no ensa ka omuntimi enche enra na me ne Dr. Shribo Kweku atwetwe nkomo e odwaso nsem on Adom FM na me bisa no sa question no o che say mfidie no e ba in trenches nti wontimi input to figure on mfidie dodo a womo ensa atumi aka as we speak. Now we know there's been resistance, serious resistance from the opposition NDC and the inter-party resistance against the new voters register. Se ekobani say ya even on the resistance, we are taking Sembebre, Sami Jemfi over a dead body, and Yabama Kwama is trading for fraud. Bernard Moda crowd, Nano Akui Kamano, my Kase, CID4, a channel, Omaton Safreno, so Rambi and Sembi, Anno. Well, say is no quote so a tres idea saying, and Anyama ebe to me, aye, and a pay Yabeshe. Well, is the NDC planning to sabotage the new voter registration? NDC form by Omadrin, some betucha adwuma no anemu ana so etisense ba ne sa MPP fon so be page wo mo so akasa de ama easier wo madwene mu no wo mo afew say easy no ye wo mo constitutionally mandated obligation adwuma mrapon no e de ama wo mo no e na wo mo e de ye adwuma say ekoba ne sa mentime ho ase besi demonstrations yen hwe animu security agencies approach for anyone mo mo ban kwan be na so handle this situation and I pay as in bisani etiawa. Can the EC compile a new credible voters register? And it's yes or no. It is yes or no. Nti and I pay kan ho ya ne mpanifo ebetenase na fei ya twetwe enkomo midin edisi J Forcing se ye twen ya ho ba Ora Richard Ahyanba executive director Dankwa Institute Baba become home. So na Ora Osei Kwame Griffiths, director of IT NDC, and so Baba become home. Na fe yedi competition no ahwehwe so. Ya be call Zoom any telephone home so. Na fe yeni Dr. Saidu Alidu, Electoral Political Science Department at University of Ghana. And so Baba become home ewo ahoma so. So Ora Franklin Kujo, Imani Ghana, and so Baba become your home. Meeting at the chief Jerry Forcing on behalf of the production team. Mwakwaba. Nnawotwe dwumadie esuni. We are live on Adom TV, Asempa 94.7 FM. Like our Facebook page, Adom TV. Na fe fa o comment eba ho. Ya beje na fe ya kenkan de ama wana Asempa 94.7 FM. Ya be kenkan ni nyina de ama brepem. Yentwa homra Nnawotwe isuni. Amo acha mo akwaba.
We met the political parties to tell them our line of activities for the year, with a specific emphasis on the registration. So we told them that we were going to start the registration last week of June and finish by the last week of ending of July. We were not specific about the date, but last week of June.
You don't have a date for the registration?
We have, but for some strategic reasons, we said that last week of June we'll start, then ending of July we'll finish. We are using the clustering system. So the polling stations will be grouped into groups of 5, and each 5 will be a cluster. So what it means is that if you have a district has 50 polling stations, then that district will have 10 clusters of 5s. So what it will mean is that if you take one cluster, the team will be at the first polling station for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, they will rest and retool themselves. Okay. Then they go to the next receiving center, the second one, for 6 days. Then they will retool again the next day. Then move to the third one, 6 days, retool, fourth one, says this, read 2, and the fifth one says this, and read 2. Then they will assess what they have done. Then they will say that when they went to polling station A or B or C, we read that we wouldn't capture almost everybody. So let's give them additional 3 days as mop-up. Then they will hit the areas that they think they couldn't cover everybody. In addition to that, especially in the urban areas, where we realize that the place is crowded, we have what we call the mobile team. The mobile team will move into that place to help clear that number of people at the center. So this is what we are doing to do the registration. So technically, technically, we are going to use 6 and 5, what will be 30. The in between the retooling days will be 4, so that will be 34. Then after they are finished with the 34 days, they will use the 35th day to assess what has been done. Then they will look at the centers that they need to do the remote plan for 3 days. So that will give you 38 days. If you have the Ghana card or passport, you will do the registration. Once you finish with the registration, and your registration is not challenged, you are given the card. There and there, you can also guarantee for up to 10 people. So using the snowball effect, the 2 of us will register. We can guarantee for 10 people simultaneously. Then the 10, immediately they also get their cards, can also do the guaranteeing. So we are hoping that using this system, if only 2 people go to the center, two people, once they register, they will guarantee for 10 people. The 10 was, that was, I said, the snowball effect. So the 10 will do 10, they will do 10, they can cater for everybody at the center.
I must put it on record. They are contrary to the misinformation given out by the NDC about the fact that our last meeting, April 25th, we did not discuss the amendment of CI 91 that is in relation with the evidence of identification to ensure to enable anybody register was wrong. The minutes of today captured what happened there, and clearly it is stated. The commission informed us. There were a lot of discussions about it. People who contributed to the discussions are here and all that. So I think that it's a shame for us to have a major political party like the NDC churning out falsehood and misinformation. My point really is not to expose them further. All that I was saying was that you were invited to the meeting. You refused to stay in the meeting. You boycotted the meeting. The very thing that you are complaining about was discussed at the meeting. If you were there, you will have contributed. If you think so strongly and you have strong points to say that we should still include the old ID card, you will have been present at the meeting. Even if you were not present at the meeting, this thing has gone to the select committee, which comprises.
Well, in the aftermath of the recent IPAC meeting, and Oshe Humfuni Kakrano Ute Dr. Srebo Kweku, in charge of electoral services at the Electoral Commission, on the kind Edinchemu by further explanations. Ebetu Jasaso and Orajon Bodwa, or yet for Penny Edema MPP Tamayukono. And so Ede and some Tuja. Ura Osakwame Griffiths at Nasi. Yeshe Ura Richard Ahaba and him. Vakwame Akwaba. But on the Bebia, Yenshas free John Boadu Bebia on Odyssey and the boycott of the last IPAC meeting. Of course.
The very recent one.
The very recent one. Yenshas free.
Okay.
Why did you boycott?
Well, the Edikan actually must say Electoral Commission. The way one more year IPAC no. One more see the principle yedi share IPAC no we must in a trust. IPAC no wo say ye pese ye bibia te say den kamra yi ye se ye kwakwose samra no. Se wo hwa omo ye CI 91 no eno amu a na ye kwosesane. One muti committee committee no NDC representative wo ho na Yehudi Yaya and CPP is so represented my small political parties and na Kwabena Bomfe is a friend Kwabena Bomfe Kwabila and NDC MPP represented me in but no so hobby and EC commission for me in fact commission ba akukra na friend I mean a friend Georgina ono na chair subcommittee, legal subcommittee, one more discuss CI no, na womri ebe 2. IPAC ni mu omujitu ansa na eko Attorney General Wamana Parliament. Parliament no na subsidiary committee on subsidiary legislation committee one mo so mu discuss o parliament ansa na yele CI no bibie wo mu anache se yatenetene no na menu abon Jombo Edu kasa no so won se san kontompo sem no se yanyi free politics mu a emwa wo bia CI a wo se discuss no wo IPAC no IPAC na mu date 25th of March CI no so yele ni 16th of March na den na yakwa discuss CI 25th of March ni yakwa ya chiko lane 16th of March so who say sa SME so opa one kasa your independent sources check when the letter was written to Attorney General on the 16th na drew Attorney General hono the same 16th no ekoko drew a friend say Parliament Emma instead of going through the subcommittee no for discussion no that step was also skipped and also amaso Emma omu ko lay straight majority leader ko lay straight
and go through the subcommittee
exactly oh and problems wo hu ni asale na problems wo hu ni asale so
finally and the 31st March and lay
the final one and no yet and no yet mistake a wo hu wo ho one more point is say mistake a wo hu ni and AC for no correction it was corrected redrawn corrected and omule no asa mistake bi o and na one mo sa redraw ye point out mo sa redraw sa lay bi o and be see 30 but the original CI na amendment na coin was the 16th of March it is important to place that on record
okay
now they are tosu mienu IPAC ya kan ye se party bia de nipa miensa ene beba ena afi so no ye nyina betena se na ya discussing sema wo se ye dwendwene ho IPAC ni say adane lecture hall okwa CIA Electoral Commission they come and tell you see the IPAC is a form of stakeholder engagement and a stakeholder engagement so no ansa na wo ba chichire ade no and now when you stakeholders in can no do madwene ayeden aba what the official minister of I recent one omko yi the boycott to here ye chire mu say double track IPAC no we are not interested
recent one o minute ni bi ya mo boycott man ko de but
and I'm saying any interesting I can give you copies of them
I have my
very
own.
good now shower we mu the friends say they have indicated the first paragraph say IPAC meeting to discuss the compilation of a new protest register called an IPAC meeting. But come down to the third paragraph. Also, the following discussions were communicated to political parties during the following decisions were communicated to political parties during the meeting. So, and you know, the objective was to come and discuss how the modalities for the registration there be. This time, no dear. What on the buy now, no more two women say, dear, ye pese ye decision you're taking. Now, what sort of stakeholder engagement is that? Just a wood, you walk what the opposite ye, and I would have now see you. Dear me pese me ye. So on the mature, I dear me say, I'm saying my registration. Obia can be house made a mentas me find your man me independent. No. Friends, what sort of stakeholder engagement is that? So on the mature. And to be honest with you, we lost nothing by not going to that IPAC, but we stayed on our principles. Say it was wrong the way share no because okoye say minute here back meetings isu yemienu na here na unya 1 minute for meetings yemienu.
You think that's not possible?
Of course, it's not. How is that possible? So ni meche na che say e lecture hall bi na moko keka madwene kire the political party said they also na say MP for them aka say no isi we na omakofa aba no omo ta omachi so omo ye boni o omo ye papa o omo ta omachi into the IPAC issue ni there to like I said the party lost nothing by not attending that IPAC.
Well, ora Kwame Osei Griffith and many national competition so sending so medical was training share ora Richard Ahiagba and him. But Kwame, the question this morning is simple.
Yes.
Can the EC compile a credible voters register? Of course, I know there's been issues with contract and the contract sum and then issues with breeder document. But this morning we want to narrow the conversation on the EC's ability. Say EC no able to me atro about your krata afoforo. Clearly, we know your position. But what are your issues as to nyenti amofo say EC no ontimi entre about your krata afoforo? The issue of timelines near the account. But what are your issues?
Well, the Edikano, say issues in the Ebebre. Nenso no, I will just stick to and the American wants some timelines. Any the restrictions are COVID-19 yakofaba. That is what I want to focus on. Because no natural PFA say a idea and bibi I will be to me aye. Now I will pick a document where MPP for krata or mudituga. Nanu ya. If I didn't sasha see yet. Honorable Freddie Blee, National Chairman, New Patriotic Party. Now, Osha krata anwa. Or say to you, Maminkain Putoka Sakakra. There are lessons we can learn from how the banking sector uses technology to allocate tallied numbers and apply similar improved mechanisms that can inform our planning of ensuring human safety at the polling stations. Anna, the Atosumino say a 90-day continuous registration across the 16 regions. Ordinary recommendation of the country can be enough time to register 18 million eligible voters at a maximum of 6 persons registering each day per polling station. We need to pay attention to these figures for the government. The other kind, but Ora Freddie Blee, assume say there are about 18 million people to be registered. And
well, the EC gives us between 16.5 and 17 million.
The EC crowd and say me who Ghana web number who say omedi 12 million be a shebaby.
Oh, I see.
Yes. I wish I had.
And Dr. Sebokwe Kukasano, he mentioned between 16.5
and say 1 million is 16.5. Also 16.5 to say
17 million.
Very good. Beman konta no cry de ma mentro ha. Into 16.5 to 17 million. Now, Ore Freddie Blee say machine bako ebe register 60 people. According to this document, a family of women as a trainer say, traditionally no machine baku register between 80 to 100. But say no, there are some issues. Ebema sa machine no analysis no enyadwuma as a trainer say. Say no COVID-19 no the restrictions aba. Restrictions no be say wo be share mask and so waba. You be check your temperature. Wo ba wo ronsa wo di nsu atene to sene ba wo ronsa. Na queue no so no 1 meter apart. Afa so no nipa ntimi monchenku ema ye mmoro aduonunum. Na obi di nsato machine so bia na wo say ye de sanitizer e de paper so. Ansa na nipa afro de abeto so na nipa no kra wo de nsato so awie no. Yes, I be no the sanitizing and sansan wakofie. Very good. Another is restriction. Electoral Commission no the ache wo mo kom. Eye one more choice of NIA cards to be used. So me tell. And no, what that means is that 37.59%, which in figures represent 6,485,074 eligible registered voters, one and the cross card. One way nibie ay over 11 million. Nti nipa almost 2/3 of the people. 2/3 of the people. One beba center hono. Yes, one makopa nipa mienu. Amo one ma bedi wa dance so me Ghana for. Edin sa nipa mienu no akwa akotintim nkrata assign. Ansana one ma hwa amomadi line so ama one ma kotro omudi. Sa process no kra no. Process no e wasing registration process no. Enti if you are making about 80 to 100 a day on a machine, this time you are doing less than 50 numbers per machine because of the restrictions per machine. You are doing less than 50. But what the young fan say, you buy 50. Young fan say you buy 50. Metie oras rebo kweku all kasano. What you bibim say, one by you 30 days. Just say 6 days. Ombe rotate 5 times. Into the 30 days na registration. And at 30 days ombe registration, only 3 days I am up. 33 days. And yet the registration.
So let's put it on record. So some the cluster system. And
the cluster didn't know. Cluster na say police stations here 5. Na machine bakushim. Or free police station 1, no call police station 2, no cause 6 days, 6 days, 6 days, 6 days, 5, 6 times 5. 30. So, into 30 days, into 30 no, so ufa a year friend say, nipa young fan said machine ebayadi, problem be a mass enter be a machine be register, machine be every day be register 50. It never happens that way. But if you do it that way, almost sentence almost 6,800 clusters. Nature say you have 10 million people, which you can maximum register. So where is the 16.5 to 17 million people that would need to be registered? So it takes me back to what Freddie Blay is saying. Honorable Freddie Blay is saying. The national chairman said, we will need what? 60-day, a 60-day continuous registration. Or see, we will need a 90-day continuous registration. So in effect, because of COVID restrictions on the Amayan, because of EC Nankasa, one more choice of ID cards, I would be register. I wouldn't say one more can say one more badge, one more card, no be register. So I share one more enkrata, one more to abontia. PowerPoint, one more to abonti. Winnie slide 27. Or see, is the EC discussing the previous data? No, with 3 exclamation signs. Just say Debbie. EC into old card and entry. Oba near Bonsano. We didn't cry and throw because you have to retrieve record from the old system. Near trial photo, and na idea easy can. And son on more court watching say failure, and I card in Kwana, any passport on the way. So, until Ocean is it tells you, sir, the Electoral Commission, these questions no see a busa. The Electoral Commission per their own timetable, the number of registrations a machine can do. When you put that against the number of days, the number of clusters or more, they can only do about 10 million registrations.
Okay, but going back to 2016, and then, okay, my main call Zoom, na men share say Ura Franklin Kujo of Imani Ghana, Yansakana. Ura Kujo to menka, me watching.
But I'm too, Kappa CJ. Good morning. Good to see you virtually.
Okay, we watch us up on
Nyamiadum. Michelle Mr. Griffiths. Your other studio guest.
Okay. Orakujo, Yanshas say, with challenges with Kwaya EC FASO, especially at the this election year, Kwaya offers to Tonyema, the issue basically with the new voters register. What challenges? How anything? Orakujo, Yanshas yes, sir.
Okay, media, my main concern, Sasia, Nyama Bibre Akosu, okay, this conversation about cost. And no crack with the main person back on one assembly, but and no internet, imani for civil society actors be can say near easy cano and said to assume because we thought that the justification for the new register based on the cost, based on the fact that the biometric systems are working currently, say no. no na ma ye ma ya dream mu ye nya kakra bi nti na that's why we got involved in this advocacy. Otherwise, typically electoral related issues are those of our colleagues CDDs, IDEX and the rest. But we felt the EC was deceiving us with the cost justifications and the procurement problems. So that also changed our mind from holding a position prior to 2016 that we needed a new register. At the time, we didn't have all the details we have today, but the details have come in. And I think the challenge is that maybe I answer your question critically, because I suspect now we are dealing with first of all, the process has been problematic. Process now right from the consultative approach, which I think, even though politically, every election period, when this NPP, they are each other's neck or throat, and sometimes they don't seem to believe in the Electoral Commission's capability. And not the how but near acquire nyakakran say, this current EC, unfortunately, all its own mechanisms are the two honorable say a consultative approach to running elections. Unfortunately, they have defied all of them, including their own advisory, eminent advisory body, Amuseti. When was the last time you heard them talk? Simply because they asked for consultation with everybody or stakeholders, and they've sidelined them. I think we could have avoided all of this if the EC definitely wanted to get the best out of its own electoral process. I mean, yeah, having to see and say the processes itself. I mean, the way it seems as if we are rushing the process, and it's compounded by the identity issues as well. I mean, clearly speaking, I don't think Mr. Atefa, Dr. Atefa, Professor Atefa ought to be rushed. Professor Atefa is doing a job that is a very serious and a very, there's some credible exercise undertaking, which means that he needs to be sure that he's covered every eligible Ghanaian with a proper ID system. He cannot attain that by the end of even this year, right? If he wants to do a complete, thorough job, he needs a lot of time. Indeed, for a body that is mandated to organize elections to suggest, say, one of the identity cards that will be used would be the NIA card, may only be catering to about 50% of the population, a voter population, and that may not necessarily inure to the benefit of our electoral processes. Secondly, the whole idea of, suggesting said the voter ID card is no longer usable is a bit problematic as well. In the light of the fact that the other ID system, which is the NIA card, may not necessarily be in before we do the elections. And then the passport as well, clearly this is like a broken record. It's not as if this is too easy for us to understand. So the challenge the EC exposes itself to is a lot of contestations, challenges, and it's even not proper to suggest that persons who may have been able to register or eligible, 2 of them can vouch for up to 10 people. You see, you'll be creating an enterprise guru business for people who will just be there and be approving for people, vouching for people without even knowing the people. I don't think that inures to the integrity of the process. So aside from compilation of the register, the exhibition of the register, the distribution of the register to the political party, the challenges that will come as a result of, the legal challenges and the deduplication processes that a proper ID system would, a verification machine would, a verification voter system would require. I do not believe that all these processes would allow the EC to run a proper and a very transparent process. So for me, that's why I worry. We have suggested, it's not just Imani, a number of CSOs have suggested that, look, even if CSOs like Imani suggest that the procurement process for buying the biometric verification machines, Canana, Scano does too much, and all of that, and you go ahead and even purchase the machines, please, for God's sake, and for the integrity of the process, and for the sake of for the sake of the integrity of the process, just conduct a limited registration. Because if a limited registration, you avoid all the challenges of time wasting and the added protocols of coronavirus, which has, the other layers, like Mr. Griffiths is suggesting. You cannot spend the amount of time you spend in finishing the registration process, maybe about 7 to 8 minutes per person, So why do you want to make Ghanaians go through this whole laborious process again? That's not to suggest that the 1 million to 1.5 million limited registrants will not go through the same thing.
Okay.
But you do not want to waste time by doing all of that. So these are just my introductory remarks.
Okay, but for people, one more clearly, who say opposition in 2015, before moving into the 2016 election, and your position now, and when I say you are, Meche Imani, a shifty kakra, then Asisa, Rakudu.
CJ, thank you very much. I think beginning of the conversation, I alluded to the fact that in 2015, we did not have access to the number of claims that the EC was making at the time. I mean, to the extent that now we are able to see that the whole procurement process of these new biometric verification machines was laden with a lot of errors, right? The EC at the time did not lie to us that the biometric verification machines will cost 56 million, when in actual fact, the procurement process showed it is 76 million. In fact, it's actually more, it's about 150 million. The EC at the time did not lie to us that the biometric verification machines have come to the end of life. Just say, batteries, say, to think that the same biometric verification machines were used in 2016 and 2018 for the referendum and then the district level elections, it cannot be true that the end life cycle of all aspects of the machines, the batteries, the laptops, the how do you call it, the biometric verification devices, just in December, when you were telling us this in January. So you take a look at the current EC and the way they've conducted themselves, right from procurement, right from the very dodgy nature of their own representations to Parliament. You say you don't want to use the voter ID card. Meanwhile, you go to Parliament and say you want to use the voter ID card. You say you have not, the machines are decrepit. Meanwhile, you have invested close to $60 million from the time you came from 2015, from 2016, in 2017, 2018, you were investing in the same systems to make it perfect for you to run a district level election and the referendum. So it was the EC's own claims which made us go and do a proper audit of their claims and found out that they were lying. That also changed because at the point we were thinking that, okay, the political parties are the neck of the EC anyway. So there must be something that is really amiss. That's why in 2015, because we had limited knowledge, we said because of the noise the political parties were making, why not? If it will serve the purpose, maybe we should have a new one. But look, between 2015 and 2020, a lot has changed. 2016 happened, the elections happened, the error margins from the biometric verification devices, just said, the error was just left about 12%.
No,
in 2012, it was 3%.
On the errors, the EC tells us, and I will want to quote from this document, we would like to remind you that in 2016 registration, we had in total 47% failure rate of BVRs, meaning
yes,
they lied. Is that what you're saying?
That's true. Hold on. There's a difference between the failure rate at registration and then the failure rate at the elections.
Okay.
Ours, it's true, the EC is right, that the failure rate was 47% at the registration. And I'll tell you why it is important that they mention that figure.
Okay.
Because that was a new system they had just introduced in 2012, right? Mm-hmm. But by the end of the 2012 elections, the biometric verification devices, the voter error margin was about 33%. The same machines were used in 2016. The voter error margins was just about 12%. It doesn't mean that these persons were disenfranchised. There's a difference. They were manually verified.
Yeah.
What it means is that by 2016, by 2018, when we were conducting the referendum, 2019 referendum, I think the error rate was around almost 7%. By the time we're doing the district level elections, the error margin has come to 5%, which means that as a result of the EC's own continuous investment, close to $60 million between 2015 and 2018, they have perfected the system to the extent that the error margin is just less than 5%. In fact, if you translate that figure, it means as out of a total voter population of 50 million or 14 to 50 million, only 33,000 people could be manually verified. That is impressive of a system that is very effective and has been delivering results. All of a sudden, this system that has delivered effective results and admirable error rates, every part of it is destroyed just in January. How can you know? Those are the things that made us realize that hey, into your boss you. Before how do you say it in Tree? They're pulling the wool over our eyes, you know. And that was what made Imani jump into the fray. Imani jumping into the fray said, no, let's do a proper audit of the system. And thankfully, when we saw the evaluation report, it was symbolic. I mean, you would see that after spending 4 months to do a process, the chairman of the evaluation panel decided that he was no longer going to be interested in the results because they wanted him to get a preferred vendor. They used one week to do a new tender. Actually used 2 days to decide on the $75 million project. So everything was yes, sir.
But no. Minim so ya de pa wotwi nti bomon na matwi no embrem kakama ye ne ye chiefo ani ahwefo
me bo me hu body me say me make no let me just me try to tougher what can I say tougher especially no me yi can say time I register in 2012 no omo amo intimi register na problems e ba no 47% any day ampa but by the time I election nankasa no omo intimi register omo intimi vote with the device no na 33%. I know say omo vote kra okay say 2012 no elections no for almost 2 days because it was a new system I use. By the time the system was getting used to us, you know, and until now, say 2016, no, elections, no, I'm going to register, I'm going to voting machines, no, a suit from 33 to just about 12%. I feel so machines, no, using machines now acquire referendum, recently. Any district level elections, recently. Using machines now and voting. Now we are just under almost 5%. Just say machines now are buoyant pa. Now machines are using from 2012, 2016, 2018, 2019, December. ECC, me na say, and I say madam, I need pay for audit ben na muaya, muakas mubaka chair say, nina say, okay, mumayan share. And I say, well, and Imani, Imani and others here, so we are not going to support you for a new register because you have not been very candid with us at all. Inti somehow no.
Okay.
Near how many say one shot elections no with the violence no crap there. I don't believe say violence and Papa Mubi Beba.
Okay, but Orakujo, before you conclude, because I understand that we have you up to bed 9 o'clock. Until let me just take a reaction from Ura Richard Ahiagba, Executive Director for Dankwa Institute. We've been joined by the Executive Director for Dankwa Institute, Ura Richard Ahiagba. Akwaba. Well, in traffic BTU area kakra, but the concerns being raised by Imani. Memang that opportunity to react to in seminar Ura Franklin Kujo were raising very, very critical issues, and I will raise it. Of that, I shall say free define the consultative process. Kwanya Isia Faso and various major stakeholders concerning this new voter rule. Ryan Ba.
Yeah, that's it. Mechia Ashafo na Mibra Penny na Wankasa, so na Quenya Mudamai, Yamakabi. Na Samano. There na Mibra Penny can Sabiban Slamiti, Mibra so our but didn't you know, and someone say the home. But these sound commonly in we are. The woman I know correct, and it's a register no, who was some.
But I'm honest, yo,
register no, who was some. Sound come away, bet to be a D, near Cosso, I register for. It in come away, the idea. It didn't any said in the China election, electoral said, I say, hey. But the one more, yen to me, yan to her. Now you need a register, Nankasani, ye, a home some. I say, ye. The tia, yen, yes, 2015 court case, new ruling a buy. Nay, in someone, none a cosso, say, register. I said, yeah, nipa bi wo mu a omode nkrata bi register. Sa nkrata no a omode asenso de register no. O konya sa nkrata no. Enyina so a wo de konya sa nkrata no nkyere se wo ye Ghana ni nkwa na wonya. NHI card no. Nti obi biara wo kromo ha bi a ofi Togo, ofi Burkina Faso, onam ha as a bi a opeso ko hospital na say opeso otena ha be 2 days no konya card no. Betu be nya. Na sa card we na nipa koya ahyɛnso de sɛ me Ghana di ntimi so pɛ me to ababi na ye tro ni din dia Supreme Court ruling ade ba kyerɛ sɛ sa nkrata no enye nyina so pa sɛ wo ye Ghana di nti ye nyi mfrim ene ye kɔ akɔyi mfrim so ye ntimi enyi mfrim nti sɛ ntimi enyi mfrim na ade a sɛ ye Ghana fo nko na wo mu na afoforo enyam nkrata nyina so o mo de kɔ hye ebu ni nti no ya adwene mu aye kesire ne se we omo mu ye omo nyina Ghana fo na so mo nya Ghana fo se ye twiro din ne ye mbisa odi ana se ye mbisa bebia ofi na obi biara o Ghana ha din wo mu a na ye pe Ghana fo nko se ye hwɛ mu ne yi oni anya Ghana fo ofiri eno ne asampo a da ho de aka nyina ya asema ye de asema afabra kwa so asema we hwɛ a enye ma adwene mu ntrene me wo ho eno no ya asafoforo. But say you kasa we Ghana ni na wonya Ghana ni de eno no enya ade a wo define different means we define different. We Ghana ni o Ghana ni wonya Ghana ni wonya Ghana ni. E na nkrata no so aye ka no. Nti ase e wo ho ne se Ghana fo nko ana nkomu. Say si ya no ya adwene mu ntrene yen se krata no Ghana fo nko na wo mu ana. Ubisa Mibra Penny a ontumi nka nkyere wo. Ubisa Owura Afraklekujo ontumi nka nkyere se Ghana fo nko na wo. Enam se sa NHI card yi a Supreme Court say yenyi saafo no mfiri yentumi enyi ona me no kase omosan wo mu ninti no sa question no obisa obia ntumi nka nkyere wo se Ghana fo nkwa no because yenim nti yenim no kwambe so ene ye befa ye behu se afa de krata we ye betumi enya gidie aka se Ghana fo nkwa no because ye koto aba no ye pese Ghana fo na nto aba Ghana fo nkwa na sa asodie yi ene akwanya yi eda ho ma omo se mo ankasa monyi mu mpanifo anya foforo a omonje Ghana fo na mbeye mamo mo na monye because abufa na amboamo a na say mo na mo ye mo nkoblemu obi sa that's the spirit of the matter enti di aka ye ka bo ho ene ye agree see so ni we wan no and no it's not a problem that should stop registration because baby ameti say ba ni ase enye sa register we are bebre ye post bebre nipa entiase a na se nkyiremu a manfo de maye no se ba na akwenya aba se ye register na enya ho gidie na abisi ye me ye nya no omo so de wo mbe sorry say adenti na wonya because there's a verifiable basis say omo ade NHI card register da ho wo mu se ya me no kase nti akwenya ye Ghana fo de na afoforo onia ofi asem ene ye ka na afoforo abedim aidimu chiame na ekire wo se ofi asem ye kadese ya no nim so mo ya hoho de a bia obetra ho ne omodi nkomo but uhu se we ya hoho a o tena ofie ma hoho mbekire wo se sei na o mamrete eno ne asem ayeka ti dia aka mo ka se na registration na BVA 47% 5% impressive we mo nyina ya asem ka e nkomo ase ye die e fine say ma sa nyoma no etuto yi ba se Ghana fo nto aba de a Ghana fo nkwa na nto aba na krata yi da ho se sia no ye ni gidie se Ghana fo nkwa na wo se ni sa gidie ni dia ye nye foforo a ebenya mu gidie se Ghana fo nkwa na wo mu a omo ato omo aba eyi omo mampani ene obo parliamentarians na asem na yetete okay sa na ye hwa ye kono a ebeboa na the other part no omo ka procurement na 1 week ni we no mo yankasa nso interest say isi so famra kwa so yade ese wo yade no se be ya ye we no a ye pese Ghana fo nko de komu no ekina bi ye pese obi be ka se na wo mu fa kwa we su ye na ye se na asema beba ho bebiri ade a ye pe fundamentally Ghana fo nkom but wo ya ma Ghana fo komu no so no hwe na ye ni yi na obi a eni nje ho enti sa nkomo no ye betumi edi but enye no ana be ka se me ye register obi kasa dey understand nipa no wa form.
Okay. Alright, but so can the EC compile a credible, and here the word is credible, voters register, giving the time space, the timelines I say, well, like I said, there's still a CI before Parliament, I'm mature, CI neighbor mature, na afi ya gazette, ya register criteria, provisional register to the various stakeholders, or mature ansana, ya compile the final register, the time frame. Can the EC compile a credible voter register?
The EC can do anything between the time was here because you Ghana for teach here but akwako bane say ebinu mo si ombo so mo de ombe obstruct the process mo de ombo ntiase and America chiro say argument ya na mebra pani ye na senior oye wa hi sa argument e betumi akoso aya amaya ye register. But so also both a media men print by your register, oh, afom. And I will check Ghana for you now quickly. Ada dan someone I say now we register do here anyway, no. A idea or more ye, I move to and you Ghana for you. Fundamentally, we are Ghana near. Who to me, I must say, who ye obese of Messomo, and you won't call to me. What I say? It is a 5 months and aka and your coalition. So 2 days in Ponaka. Nasa. Akwenya no aye wo nko awo de the one who say obi fufuro a enye na sede so wo mu I say how because or say obi fufuro no kamu na mokoye a enye ne kwan so no woti amra woti ase enye sa na say ba no ade a enye na obeka say time ni ho nti no obehwa ama na say sa nipa no ye o leader say osuro no because obetumi de wakọ say yemu say ye poison now say come de me anti poison aka 2 minutes e bia mewu mendidi a mewu amanu nsu a mewu na nsu obenum no so bebo ama wewu a ade na okọ no asemo a ye ka no se ye ka ne ate ho ase se nkomo a ye die no ye atwe no po ada etimu adidi san nkomo ne se Ghana nkoso de a na democracy ye die atumu fourth republic enu nti na ye di san nkomo we dia sa obstruction na ye ntiase ye be court di we no no ase ye yifrim eno na be man ti a se ka 1 month mpo ne ye be election isi into me because ebinu mo si yebo say empe register no and say empe say yebe and no na ya asem no nye register no say time aka dia wonia say ye ko a wo ko twere odi ma twere mi din me ye no boko na me kofie obi abe no boko na kofie ne ye kesi ni ye say Ghana fo nyina ya twere bodi a ntokwa be na baba delay be na baba ye din twere kaka e betumi aye enti say obi a say ne bo say ye be bo process no na ebi anka say we de be court si abe ma twere ye be hwe say be yi sa na ntumi ma but so you ma dwene say ebe ye dia e be support wa betumi aya ma na 1 month kura betumi aya o de ase ade no a ese NDC 40 ase na CSO 4 eti ase de say ye man ene ye pe ne nkoso ye democracy ene ye pe ne nkoso se sa kwa no so no mo so ti ase say da ye dan kwa institute ye ti ase say ye papa no mo ye nana no mo kun ye gi oman yi to oman first republic anye yi second republic anye yi third republic anye fourth republic e pese gina dia ye nyanti ase ne ye tro Ghana fo nko edin omo nto abanyi omo penifo na yemfa mu man yi na ne asam ne tete time on ka
well me that's right here well I've enjoyed me but Dr. Seydou Alidu Electoral Political Science Department University of Ghana Legon wa beka hondok ma memo akwaba.
Thank you so much.
But what's up here?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing well.
Then I'm yasi. Well, Franklin, could you, my question because of umrenity, how risky is it going to be? And now the Bisa is simple. Can the Electoral Commission compile a credible voters register? If yes, how? If no, why? Let me find out for me. Bisa was asking me, if you are drinking, Rakujo.
This is an interesting question. But before I answer that question, my madam for Richard. I saw who saw also a CSO. Into the now cano CSO for no. He should be reminded that he is also a CSO. But I just wanted to checkmate claims about the fact that the register is ineligible and because Ghanaians are on the register. I would have pleaded that we had the signs to back this claim because Supreme Court, when they ruled, the names, significant amount of names were taken out. In fact, the NHI card is no longer used for the registration. After so in 2015, before the elections, there was something we called decoupling, and I'm sure Griffiths has a better understanding of the terminology. Just said the decoupling meant that you separate, disengage the names of about almost 150,000 that were either repeated or were just basic errors. So it was taken out. So the register we have, it's a bit of a stretch to suggest that it's either bloated or it is just it also contains ineligible Ghanaians. It's very difficult to fathom that. The other point about another point that the register bloated, no. It's also a bit stretch because social voter population per national populations across the world. Ghana, 56%, it's not strange. England, Indonesia, India, Brazil, Argentina are all doing in the range of 70% voter population per national population. Now, Ghana as well, the democracy is a very rich one. So we are not like other African countries. In fact, you see the activism, how the interest with which Ghana for politics are. So that also tells you that the interest in the registration means that there will be that level of numbers on the road. Question obviously clearly Mokan is being tougher. Mimi pa mondie nyeme kaino the inconsistencies and the Electoral Commissions and non-cassa processes or their show no say anka Obama a stakeholder consultative approach it makes it difficult for me to believe that the process would not be fraught with a lot of problems. And I'm not part of the process because I don't really trust the process.
Okay.
So that's the short answer.
Okay. Then my other question will come in. How risky is it going to be for us as a country, the Constitution, and our abattoir and honsem brain say even with all the reasons one man what should we expect? Then anymore.
Media say a major political party like NDC Becca said, the way we treating you we election new say even if it is genuinely say I won't lose elections now. Me fear they say they will say that the process was fraught with a lot of problems, so they will not accept the results. You know what that means for a country like ours and for our democracy. In 2012, a CN, was it 2012? Yeah. In 2012, a CN, the way Mama Bray, almost a whole year, nobody was bringing money into this town. So for me, it's the larger issue about the credibility and the sustainability of our democracy. It's not the best. Say, we are going to a game. Maybe it's not the position of the NDC which makes CSOs take the same position. CSOs' positions are that the EC has been quite intransigent. On the face of every available evidence, they've not served us well. Until because we have advised without, and there's no reason, they are at liberty, someone taking your advice. And we are at liberty to also say that the process, unfortunately, will lead to this type of challenges, legal challenges, as well as Nnawotwe starting already. And I'm afraid that the eventual winner may come out and say, or loser will come out and say, okay, we mintias here. And then that will not be good for our democracy.
Okay. Mamin bisa we na minja kwan. Se me ma wakwan ja se to NDC and a minority and I mean can say inter-party resistance against the new voters register to one for. Should they switch from agitation mode to preparation mode? Woman jai sabi in quote, they don't know more yempene no name woman for this register. And so woman koswa empress and pushy say register no and other better say. Your advice.
My advice to them is that they should use every legitimate means to press on their views. Would involve legal means, or court. I think some of them quite started that. They should tone down on the chantings and the agitations. And on the end, so they should use every available means to press on their demands. It's the only thing I can advise them to do.
Rakuta mamenda wasena yemfensi ha yedasipi obra waje ani atwetwe nkoma na pe.
Onim say when voice, your voice, mu can say any voice, right? My
voice, yeah.
Yeah, your voice typifies that of Captain Smart. So it's very difficult to tell and you guys are of the same brain. I mean, it's very difficult to differentiate.
Rakuta Bedasipi, yemfensi ya prepare me very chenkomo. Franklin Kujo, free Imani Ghana, and I know atweche enkomo. Now